you first meet?
We met at a film festival.
When did you get cable TV?
It was our wedding present to each other.
We both just love watching.
The classics, the art,
Dramas.
the films.
The Westerns.
Is it still good for you?
I like to watch cable.
Get cable installed for only $14.95. With our on-time guarantee, we're on time or it's on us. Call Paragon Cable at 522-2000.
Here at Towsley Ford's All-Star Used Cars and Trucks, we take in a large number of one-owner, late-model Ford cars and trucks in trade. But we also have Jeeps, Chryslers, Dodges, Chevrolets, imports, and many more. They're all safety inspected and warranted, and they're all pre-discounted, so everyone pays the same low bottom-line price. We have over 75 cars and trucks priced from $44.97 to $99.97. So from economy to luxury, whatever you're looking for, you'll find it at Towsley Ford and Towsley Conversions and Center, White Bear Lake.
Here's a rather simple math lesson. If you own or rent one of these and have one of these, you could save this. In fact, save up to 20% on your auto insurance with American Family. Just call an American Family agent. So let's review. One of these and one of these could save you up to 20% on your auto insurance. Told you it was simple. And all you have to remember are these three words.
American Family Insurance.
All your protection under one roof. An equal housing insurer.
Joan Collins guest stars on the next Roseanne tonight following the late news.
Touched by a Dolphin will not be seen at this time, but can be seen early Sunday morning at 1:07 a.m. Now stay tuned for a Vikings Sports Wrap special.
The Green Bay Packers, a model franchise, a franchise where tradition flows like a river of melted cheese.
The Packers have been to the Super Bowl 3 times. They won all 3. They never lose the big games.
The Minnesota Vikings, a dominant team of the 70s, a team that has been to the Super Bowl 4 times.
We haven't won the big one yet, but we have 14 division titles, 19 playoff, and 4 Super Bowl appearances.
The Packers and the Vikings, they don't like each other much.
Those Packer fans, they think their cheese doesn't stink. Viking fans, they play indoors in a plastic environment. Wimps.
Tonight, the battle lines are drawn again, with both teams trying to be the big cheese in the Central Division.
There's no way the Packers are going to lose to the Minnesota Vikings. The Packers have never won in the Dome under Mike Holmgren. And that's not going to change.
It's a difference of opinion, a difference of allegiance, and a difference that can only be decided head-on on Monday Night Football.
One, two, three, hit it!
Monday night, baby! Are you ready for some sports wrap? Monday night special. We got Joe and Giz and Nick. They're gonna get it started. Kelly and Randy are set. The crowd is tight. All my rowdy friends are watching the rap tonight. Bring on the show. Bring it on, Joe.
You are looking high above the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis. There is electricity in the December air outside tonight, and in a short time, the air inside the dome will be supercharged for the biggest football game of the year in Minnesota. Hello, everybody. I'm Joe Schmidt, and welcome to Viking Sports Wrap. It's a great game tonight. You've got 2 teams that are going to be battling on a national scale for a championship here tonight, the Packers and the Vikings, and we've got it all for you tonight on Channel 5. Here's the bottom line in the big game tonight. The Vikings trail the Packers by 1 game, Tampa Bay by a half game in the NFC Central Division. A win by the Vikings puts them back in a tie for first place. A loss would almost end their hopes for a divisional title. It all starts in less than an hour right here on Channel 5, and we've got it all covered for that. It's our job in the next hour to get you revved up for the big game, and we've got this thing covered inside and out. Eric Gisselson is roving inside the Metrodome to give you the inside scoop on all the teams. Outside the Dome, Randy Meyer and Callie King are at the big party on the Plaza. And Mike Binkley made a run for the border. He's in Wisconsin at a private Packer Viking party, and that's just part of our starting lineup here tonight from the Metrodome. We also have stories from as far away as Green Bay and North Carolina.
So when everybody's talking about, just the young'un did it again. God love him.
Black Mountain, North Carolina, a small town with a big heart for a favorite son.
On the outside, he's the nicest thing you can ever imagine, but he's got it in his mind. He will figure out a way to win.
We'll take you to this Smoky Mountain city where Brad Johnson is king of the mountain. Also tonight,
It's hard work, but hard work pays off. That's why I made it to the NFL.
Viking cornerback Corey Fuller trades helmet for hard hat. And you'll meet a guy who knows how to take the pressure off some of the Vikings. Plus, life in Green Bay. Is it still super 10 months after the championship? And pro football tries to bridge the gender gap. Why more and more women are learning the game these days. And we'll also be talking live with Viking head coach Denny Green, along with bench warmer Bob Lertzema, Bob Sansevier, Pat Royce, Roger Hedrick. We've got it all coming up on the big show. But we start tonight with the game itself and the teams themselves. Eric Gisselson has been on the trail of both the Packers and the Vikings. He joins us live for the Inside Scoop. Eric?
Joe, we've cornered the Vikings outside their locker room here at the Metrodome as they get ready for tonight's big game. We can't confirm that Elvis has entered or left the building, but we can tell you that both the Packers and the Vikings got to this building okay. The Packers and their field general, Brett Favre, arrived around 5:30, and they had their game faces on, and why not? This building has given them fits. The Vikes began arriving at around 4:30. Linebacker Eddie McDaniel, his usual slapstick self, but linebacker Jeff Brady wasn't in any mood to joke around. The Vikes seemed really, really focused. And speaking of focus, a lot of people focused in on the ankle injury of Brad Johnson. This is a knee brace a lot of the quarterbacks in the NFL wear. Brad Johnson will be wearing an ankle brace tonight, but not nearly as big and not nearly as cumbersome. No, rather, they fitted him with a rather unique one. In fact, when they fitted him on Monday, they tweaked it like an automobile. The doctors and the training staff and Brad Johnson, a little more support here, a little more mobility here. Support and mobility, a good thing for the Vikings tonight. Joe?
All right, Eric, that's the latest on the teams. What about the fans who are going to rock this place tonight? We've got that covered, too. We've got Randy Meyer and Callie King outside the Dome on the Plaza, and Mike Binkley across the border at a big party in Wisconsin. Let's start on the Plaza, where the battle lines are being drawn as we speak. Randy and Callie.
They sure are, Joe. I guess you could say that Callie and I have been drawn into this border battle. Take a look.
Take a look at his jacket. Of course.
But I got to tell you,
Randy Meyer. What?
I'm outnumbered.
Oh, yeah, you are outnumbered, and that's a good thing. Randy Meyer is a well-known Green Bay Packers fan. Besides that, he's a pretty good guy. But I, on the other hand, have grown up in Minnesota, big-time Vikings fan, so we're going to be duking it out here, rooting for our favorite team with the rest of these wonderful people down on the plaza.
a couple Vikings fans have tried to pull me right off this stage already today. Right now, we want to take another look at another big gathering. Of course, this is in our neighboring state of Wisconsin. Mike Binkley is across the board at a more private affair, at a party, and where there's a pregame continuing over there. And Mike, it's quite a story in that family.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it is a mixed marriage, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit, but as you can see, it's getting serious here. We've already got a rendition of the Pack Arena. Even some of the Viking fans are getting involved here. We expect this party to be just about evenly split between Viking and Packer fans because the couple hosting this event does have kind of a mixed marriage, kind of like this. He's a Viking fan, she's a Packer fan, but they get along pretty well, and so do their friends. They say this will be a very civil affair. We'll be checking back with you throughout the night. Let's go back to you.
All right, Mike, so we can see the excitement is building everywhere right now for this big game. We're just getting started here tonight on Viking Sports Wrap. Keep it right here on Channel 5 as we come back live to the Metrodome.
This Viking Sports Wrap special is brought to you by Northwest Airlines. Some people just know how to fly. And by your local Northland Ford dealers.
I have a picture of when I met my husband. You can tell I was already falling in love with that young man in a leather jacket. And now, after 52 years, I think it's going to happen all over again.
The people of Northwest Airlines have taken a few friends under their wings, like Habitat for Humanity, Toys for Tots, Memorial Blood Center, and Second Harvest Food Bank. Please join the 50,000 people of Northwest in helping our Air Care's charitable partners.
An important part of our mission is supporting the communities in which we live and work. Thank you for joining us in these efforts.
Is he going to be on that thing all night? Other people live here too, you know.
If the internet is keeping you from keeping in touch this holiday season,
whatever he's up to, bet it's no good.
here's an idea. How about an additional phone line just for your phone?
I knew it! He has no regard for other people's lives.
Call now for your additional line and we'll install it free. Nice better here, U.S. West.
We developed new Dual 2 Magnum based on input from growers like you. You said you wanted a stronger grass herbicide. It is. You told us to make it concentrated, to reduce the rate. We did. And now we've decided to use another of your helpful suggestions. Presenting the Yield Max Reward Program. For every gallon of new Dual 2 Magnum you buy, you'll get up to $16.50 back. We're also offering generous rebates on all other Dual 2 and Bicep 2 brands. So talk to your dealer today about the Yield Max Reward Program and get up to $16.50 back on new Dual 2 Magnum.
Welcome back to Sports Wrap. As you can see outside in the plaza, a lot of fans still out there getting some last-minute pregame partying in before they head into the Metrodome for the big Monday night matchup between the Packers and the Vikings. Well, tonight's game exemplifies what Major League Sports is all about. You got a great rivalry, two good football teams, and you'll have fans in this dome who will be at a fever pitch tonight. But there is definitely a dark cloud hanging over pro sports these days, and especially here in Minnesota. One of the latest examples came a couple of weeks ago when the Minnesota House overwhelmingly voted down any public financing plan for a new Twins stadium. It has the Twins on the verge of bolting to North Carolina. Now, before that stadium to vote, the Vikings also came with their hands out, too. They want a new stadium. They need more revenue from the stadium, too. What has the Twins vote done to the Vikings' plans? Let's go to Eric Gisselson. He'll have more on that story. Giss?
Joe, thank you. The Vikings were hoping that the stadium issue could be solved by something as simple as a quarterback sneak. The problem is it's turned out to be a busted play of sorts. And as a result, we now have one current member of the Vikes front office and one former member of the Vikes front office, both quarterbacking plays for new stadiums. This stadium may have been built for football, but less than 2 decades later, the Vikes say this venue is obsolete.
We deal in a competitive world where I've got to sign players and compete with other teams, and if other teams have more resources available to them, basically coming from their stadium, then that's where the players are going to go.
Team President Roger Hedrick has pleaded his case to his Landlord Sports Facilities Commission and even the governor that his team can no longer compete financially in the NFL.
You're either going to get new stadium situations where you are, or renovated stadiums where you are, or teams are going to start to look elsewhere.
It's no secret the Vikes are for sale. But before this team makes any moves in town or elsewhere, it's likely they'll need to restructure their multiple member ownership to a majority owner.
When you get into an auction, the highest bidder isn't going to be a Minnesotan.
Love him or hate him, former Vikes GM Mike Lynn, for the most part, was an achiever in his days in the Vikes front office. You may still jeer him for the now infamous Herschel Walker trade, but Lynn would rather his legacy be to close a deal on a privately owned stadium. Lynn's proposal excludes taxpayer money, but includes profits from non-Indian gaming.
This issue is clear-cut. The public wants to keep their teams here. The public doesn't want to use any taxpayer money, and the public is in favor of an extension of gaming at Canterbury Downs for the purpose of doing it. If we can get this to the public, we'll win the vote.
Lynn's Plans recommends building a new Twins ballpark, a new NHL hockey arena, and refurbishing and renovating this very Metrodome we're gathered in here tonight. He'll put his plan of a private casino located at Canterbury Park before a referendum vote in early 1998. Joe Roger Hedrick will meet with Governor Arnie Carlson as new tales on his front develop, too. Let's go back to you.
All right, Eric. Well, the biggest controversy for the Minnesota Vikings this year had nothing to do with the stadium. It had to do with a book that Denny Green wrote called No Room for Crybabies. It included his bombshell threat to sue the team unless he was allowed to buy the franchise. Denny later claimed he was just thinking out loud, but one source told us he may have been trying to accelerate the Vikings ownership situation to free up some money for free agents. Among those who will be free agents after the season, John Randall, Robert Smith, Todd Stussy, Jake Reed, and Dwayne Washington. If they want to keep those guys, they are going to have to show them the money. Well, free agents are not a big concern for Mike Holmgren of the Green Bay Packers right now. Winning a football game in this building is his #1 concern. Holmgren has had a lot of trouble here. He came to Green Bay in 1992, the same year Denny Green took over for the Vikings. In those 5 years, Holmgren and the Packers have struggled and have yet to win a game at the Metrodome.
Strange things have happened in that building we're going to. Different types of games and endings and things like that. But other than that, no. I change my underwear and I wear the different socks and all that kind of stuff.
We kind of let their aggressiveness get us ticked off, and it causes us to retaliate. And, you can't do that.
Here is how the two coaches stack up against each other. Denny Green has won 7 of the 11 games overall, of course, including those 5 games here at the Metrodome. Don't touch that dial yet. There is a lot more to come for the Metrodome on Viking Sports Wrap. We'll be right back.
Coming up on Viking Sports Wrap. The basics of pro football for women only.
Now do your dance. Do your dance.
Plus, a guy who helps keep some of the Vikings in line physically. And the Vikings-Packers rivalry, past and present. It's all coming up on Viking Sports Wrap.
Make the holidays shine with a gift of diamonds from Gordon's, like this classic round setting for $3.99, or this princess cut band for $9.99, and this 2-carat marquee band for $19.99. More holiday gift ideas from Gordon's. Gordon's Jewelers, since 1905.
The Vikings and the Packers last met 10 weeks ago at Lambeau Field. In the first half, Green Bay looked like a runaway train. Brett Favre threw 3 straight touchdown passes to give the Packers a 31-7 halftime lead. In the second half, though, Brad Johnson led a big Vikings comeback. He threw 3 TD passes, including this one to Jake Reed in the fourth quarter to pull within 6 points. The Vikes, though, couldn't pull off the comeback. They lost it 38-32. That was then. This is tonight. There's number 4, Brett Favre, on the field right now as the fans are starting to pick it up. Favre, of course, has had bad luck on this team. And there's a shot for the Vikings sideline, too. You take a look at Mike Holmgren, the Green Bay Packer coach, is getting ready for this football game, too. This has been the hottest ticket in Minnesota for a very, very long time. The game has been sold out for months, and if you didn't have a ticket, you weren't going to get in here tonight. Randy Meyer and Callie King are outside the dome right now with some of those fans who can't wait to get inside.
Well, Joe, as you know, and we've seen earlier, a lot of Packer fans make this pilgrimage out here. A lot of green and gold.
Well, there's a lot of green and gold out here. I hate to say this, but there might be almost as much as there is purple.
Because of that pilgrimage, this is a tough ticket to get in town. The Vikings ticket office has been swamped with calls all week long, even though they have been sold out since late July. Those that work at the ticket office say it's always been crazy for Packer Week, but it's even crazier now.
Being a Monday night game this year, we were kind of anticipating that it might not be as much of a frenzy because Monday being a weeknight and people having to get up for work the next day and that. But I think because it's the Packers, it doesn't make a bit of difference. Everybody's going to be here because it's not only the Packers, but it's Monday night.
And with this much pressure for tickets, you can bet the scalpers are out in full force. Ross Burgess told us about that earlier. And there are a lot of enthusiastic fans here waiting to get inside the dome. In fact, Callie King is with some Viking fans as we speak. Callie?
I am here with some Vikings fans. People out from my own heart. This is Tina. Tina is from Minneapolis, and Tina, just tell us why you're here and what you're hoping the outcome will be.
The Vikes are 5-0. We're going to make it another one at home. Go Vikings!
And we'll just see in about a couple hours. We'll see how they're doing. Back to you, Randy.
All right, Callie. Being the objective journalist that I am, of course, I have to bring some Packer fans into this. And we have one from here. You're from where?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, couldn't be much closer to Green Bay than that. Turn around, show the Viking fans what you think of this. Yeah, that brings the word cheesehead to a whole new meaning. It's got a 5 on there. I don't know what that's all about. Joe, as you can see, a lot of different fans out here tonight, and it's what we expect every year. Back to you in the dome.
All right, by the way, the Vikings are on their way to setting an attendance record this year despite having 3 blackouts. Head coach Denny Green joins us live right now, right before the game. And Denny, the Packers have had trouble traditionally on the turf. Do you design your game plan trying to take advantage of that?
Well, we just rely so much on speed. I mean, that's why we're 4-1 right now this season. We hope to be 5-1 after today. It's all about the speed that we can put on the field and have an athlete that can stay on their feet.
Everybody talks about Brett Favre, but you got to stop Dorsey Levens, who's really been picking it up here the last couple of weeks.
Well, 33 carries last week is a great deal for a Green Bay running back. He's a very explosive player. You can see breaks tackles. We're going to have to get a lot of people there. The key is penetration, get guys up the field, make him turn back, and then get a lot of guys involved in the tackle. Very good balance, a big, strong back.
A lot of talk about your team chemistry this year. Tonight they're going to have to show it coming off of 2 losses against a very good football team.
Well, that's why we're 8-4. I think without the team chemistry, we wouldn't be 8-4. 8-4 is quite a record. And I think because we have that team chemistry where guys love to play, is the reason why we're at.
Do you like this atmosphere? This place is
I love it. This is what it's all about. That's what you come out for. I don't think we could start in July and have anything better than to be right here now, December 1st, Monday Night Football, extravaganza, playing for first place in the National Football League.
All right, good luck tonight, Coach.
Thank you.
Denny Green ready for this football game. Now, to win in the NFL, you have to stay healthy. Now, the Vikings have been able to stay relatively healthy this season until recently. Of course, they lost Robert Smith for a couple of games with an ankle injury, and Brad Johnson has been hobbled this week with an ankle injury of his own. The one very serious injury came last week when center Jeff Christie suffered a broken ankle. He is out for the season. When it comes to the weekly aches and pains of football in the NFL, we just got a shot of Brad Johnson there. The Vikings have some capable hands that they rely on. Matter of fact, as Ed Cairo reports, you could call this guy the backbone of the team.
The collisions are cataclysmic.
Oh, definitely. Everything's bigger, stronger, faster now.
More traumatic than ever.
So bigger, stronger, faster collisions.
Sometimes repair means surgery. Other times, like any fine equipment, it needs realignment and tuning. Like a Porsche. Or Chris Carter. Like a Jeep. or Chris Walsh. Mac. Todd Stussy.
Offensive linemen's hands get really beat up, their elbows, just from the fact he used that so much.
If you're sensing the need for a chiropractor, you're right.
There are many things which they should go to the trainer for, they should go to the orthopedist for, and there are other things that they should come to a chiropractor for, and they do.
30 Vikings are seeing or have seen Dr. Fargo over the past 5 years for lots of reasons.
It's a bit like if you have a guy that gets run over by a car and you say, well, geez, what kind of problems does he have? Well, lots. He's got it. Lots.
Chris Walsh is a big collision player who sees Dr. Fargo several times a week.
You look at the older guys, you hear these guys limping around, you know, who didn't necessarily have the advantages that we have in terms of taking care of our bodies.
Another reason for realignment is artificial turf.
We're able to improve not only the functioning of the joints, but also enhance the functioning of the nervous system.
Like Porsches, Jeeps, and Macs, the players function best when they're fine-tuned.
You want to do all you can do to help your body and keep your career as long as possible.
And it's definitely lengthened my career. You take care of your body takes care of you, right?
So Dr. Fargo believes that in some instances, a player can absorb the energy of 30 car accidents in a single game. Joe?
All right, Ed, I got a sore back just watching that story. Both teams are on the field right now. They are getting ready for the big Monday Night Football matchup. We've got more Viking Sports Wrap coming up live from the Dome as Dwayne Washington gets ready to intercept some Brett Favre passes. Stay tuned.
This camera's captured a lot of great times. And my camcorder is wonderful for taping special moments. And for over 80 years, National Camera and Video has been selling these products and more to loyal customers like me. Sure, they're superstores, but I want to know I'm buying from people who know these products inside and out. Plus, National Camera has the largest selection and the lowest prices, guaranteed. It's also where I bought my new big screen. National Camera and Video. You're not paying more, you're getting more.
Hey guys, need a smile? Call Domino's. Yes. The Domino's deep dish does the trick. An inch thick with cheese baked to the edges. And now at 3 toppings, $8.99. Any second, $4.99. But we deliver more than great pizza. At Domino's, we're delivering 1 million smiles a day.
When the Vikings and the Packers bang heads tonight, it'll be the latest in a long and very storied history between these two football teams. What a rivalry it's been, a very even rivalry over the years. In fact, if the Vikings lose tonight, they would be dead even in both wins and losses, both home and away. Records aside, this rivalry conjures up great teams, great players, and great football games from the past.
Broke the end zone, touchdown! And knocked out of bounds to the Green Bay Packers.
And the Vikings take the lead, 13.
Intercepted.
Up and it is. We have a race in this Central Division after all.
The year was 1967. Bud Grant coaching his first game against the legendary Vince Lombardi in County Stadium in Milwaukee. Fred Cox hit this field goal to give Bud and the Vikings the win. Lombardi and the Pack beat Bud in Minnesota. The best finish, 1963, on the frozen tundra of Met Stadium. This time, Fred Cox's field goal is blocked by Herb Adderley, and Hank Greminger takes it 80 yards for the 34-31 Green Bay win.
Packers attackers were in fine fettle indeed behind robust rookie John Brockington, number 42.
The strangest game was in 1971. John Brockington rushed for 146 yards for Green Bay. The Vikings had only 87 total yards all game, but they still beat the Packers 3-0.
Second and 20, Kramer steps up into the pocket, throws on the move. He's got Jordan inside the 5. He goes to the goal line.
best single-game performances ever for the Vikings took place in 1986. Tommy Kramer dedicated this game to his sick mother and proceeded to throw 6 touchdown passes, 4 in the first quarter. The Vikings won the game 42-7. Another great performance was turned in by Ted Brown in 1983. He rushed for 179 yards at Lambeau Field in an 11-3 win over the Packers. In the 90s, 2 games have gone to overtime, and both times Claude Reves kicked game-winning field goals for Minnesota. By the way, the last time one of the teams has been able to sweep this series was back in 1993. And now I got a guy who has been a part of that rivalry over the years. Bench warmer Bob Lertzema, who was telling some young kids before he used to play quarterback. Lertzy, you can't do that. Hey, what do you see is happening in this game tonight?
I'll tell you, I see one great football game. The atmosphere down here is unbelievable. When the Green Bay Packers came on, they got a louder crowd noise reaction than the Vikings did. More Packer fans outside. I saw ice sculptures. But the thing going for us, Brett Favre, the last 5 games here, has lost every one. Yes. And he's only thrown 2 touchdowns. Where at Lambeau, he's thrown 15 over the same period of time.
You like to look inside the trenches. Gilbert Brown matches up against Scott Dill, starting his first game at center.
Gilbert Brown is one big horse. I mean, he's about 365, 370 pounds, but he is not a turfer. In other words, he likes to play on grass. And I think that's a big plus for us right now. Same with Reggie White. They do not like the turf. And right now, the Green Bay Packers are 9-0 outdoors, 0-3 indoors.
All right. Well, Lertzy, you want to stick around for this next story. It's about women in football.
Yes. Yeah. Being a sex symbol, yes, I will.
All right. Lertzy. Well, more and more women are becoming great football fans and very knowledgeable football fans. They are yearning to learn more about the game. And Callie King joins us out in the plaza with more on that.
Well, you just tell Bob there, bench warmer Bob, to take this seriously, Joe. We are talking 40 million American women watch pro football games every weekend in this country. And if you think that just because they're women, they don't know the game, think again.
I don't know anything about football. We know touchdown and we know the higher score wins. That's all that matters.
That is the minority opinion. More than 40% of the fans filling the Metrodome seats tonight and every week are women. Women who know a little something about the game.
Are you ready for some football?
All right, now bark up that one-on-one.
One-on-one?
Yeah. All right, good.
Hundreds of female football fans added depth to their gridiron goods at Football 101.
Okay, you can follow along your workbooks. We're going to start with the history of football.
They know the game, but there are some parts of this man's game women don't know. Watching at home, Shar Jorgensen wants to know what goes on behind locker room doors.
And I've often wondered, if we're behind, if the Vikings are behind at halftime, do they go into the locker room and do they just sit there, or do they talk about plays? Do they try to regroup? What do they do?
He's losing by 7 points at 14. I think like the 3rd and 4th game of the season, your head coach probably come in there and curse you out. That's the most important thing. Then your position coach come in and top him, so you get cursed out twice.
The coaches just use halftime as a way for them to vent frustration, that's all.
Back out on the field, all the women get suited for another big game.
Now do your dance. Do your dance.
Like the men, Minnesota's female fans want to win tonight. But Shar's not putting any money on this matchup.
The Chicago papers were predicting the Vikings will win. And so, of course, what does Chicago know the way they're playing?
Yeah, good point, Shar. Shar and thousands of other women are already set for tonight's big game. I am here with Alyssa and Jenny. Just to prove this point, there are 2 women who are diehard Vikings fans. Tell me why this game is important to you.
Well, we came last year, and last year was just the best game ever, and we had to come back. So it was a lot of fun last year, and I hope we're going to win again this year.
All right. Well, that's the opinion from 2 of the women here, and that's echoed by thousands more. Randy, you know a lot about women and football in your household.
Well, I think it's important to involve women in sports since I have all those women in my house. When the football game is on, there's a bunch of women sitting around at my house. I'll say that. Let's go back out to Joe Schmidt. He's down on the dome floor where the game is only about a half hour away, Joe.
That's right, and we're done with the first half of Viking Sports Wrap. The second half of Viking Sports Wrap is even bigger and better as we come back live to the Metrodome for more of the Wrap.
Viking Sports Wrap Special is brought to you by Northwest Airlines. Some people just know how to fly. And by your local Northland Ford dealers.
I don't really think that there's a time when you know everything. See? I mean, Albert Einstein didn't know everything. Did he know how to speak Spanish? Sometimes I teach my dad things on the computer. There's really no limit to learning what you need to know. Cactus don't need much water.
The Learning Company, the educational software used in more schools than any other brand. For a limited time, save 20 to 60% off select titles.
The new 93X, the station that brought pure rock to Minnesota, is back. The new 93X is Minnesota's pure rock. They fit rocks. It's the new 93X. 93X. Minnesota's pure rock, the new 93X.
They had the JBC monitors, they had speakers. Oh my, wow.
Hey, Ward's has it all at prices no one can beat.
I looked at the price tag and thought, hey, that's a good deal.
In fact, if you do find a lower price, they'll refund the difference plus 10%.
And I knew that they had Sony, but I didn't know how much.
They've got great value, great stuff.
And now all TVs, camcorders, and VCRs are on sale.
Thank you, that's what I want.
It's all here.
1-9 financing for up to 48 months or up to $2,000 cash back.
Yes, during year-end clearance at your Northland Ford dealer. For a limited time, check out these new 97 Fords with 1-9 financing for up to 48 months. Or get a brand new Taurus with up to $2,000 cash back.
Wow, 1-9 financing or $2,000 cash back?
We need the room on our lots, so get to year-end clearance for great deals on all 97s and 98s.
1-9 financing for up to 48 months or up to $2,000 cash back?
Yes, but only for a limited time. See your Northland Ford dealer today.
Coming up on the second half of Viking Sports Wrap.
When everything is not clicking, it will be a long day.
It may be the toughest job in the NFL, but how does it stack up in the blue-collar world?
If it paid equal, would you trade?
If I was a foreman, I didn't have to do no work.
Yeah. And we'll travel to Black Mountain, North Carolina, where we'll talk about their favorite son. He's the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings tonight.
And what has life been like in Green Bay since the Super Bowl? I'm Mike Binkley. I'll take you to Titletown to find out later on Viking Sports Wrap. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, hit it! Come on and get it. Come on, get ready. Monday night, baby. Are you ready for some sports wrap? Monday night special. We got Joe and Giz and Ed. They're gonna get it started. Kelly and Randy all set. The crowd is tight. All my rowdy friends are watching the rap tonight. Bring on the show. Bring it on, Joe.
And thanks to the TC Jammers for their musical talents, and they have a lot of it. And yes, we are ready for the second half of Viking Sports Wrap. The marquee matchup here tonight at the Metrodome is, of course, at quarterback. It'll be B against B. Brad against Brett, two of the top quarterbacks in football. Two guys who could be teammates in the Pro Bowl. Brad Johnson has 20, and Brett Favre has 27 TD passes this season. Favre, of course, was voted the best player in the NFL last season. He led the Packers to the promised land, the Super Bowl. He's not quite having an MVP-type season this year, but the Vikings know all too well what Favre is capable of doing.
He does a lot of things great, so, I mean, I mean, he can roll out the pocket, which is real dangerous. He makes the big plays. He makes the consistent plays. So, you know, you got to do a lot of things to make sure that you try to get him off balance early because he really just is the heart and soul of the offense.
It's pretty neurotic the way he knows that offense, you know, and he knows where everybody's at, and it's going to be tough. We're going to have to be on our guns.
Favre struggled here at the Dome. He only has 2 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions playing at the Metrodome. Well, we know a lot of people in Minnesota and a lot of people in Wisconsin will be watching this game, but there's also a small town in the Smoky Mountains that will be glued to the tube. Black Mountain, North Carolina is Brad Johnson's hometown, and when the Vikings play, Black Mountain turns into Purple Mountain. Brad Johnson looking in zone.
He's what I consider a thoroughbred. There's very few people like Brad Johnson in this world.
Yeah, this is a big play for Brad Johnson.
Lord have mercy. To me, he just hasn't changed, and you ask anybody in the valley, he hasn't changed when he comes home and the way he acts.
Johnson.
I've never seen a youngster with any more character than Brad. You won't see Brad getting in trouble.
The folks in Black Mountain, North Carolina, don't put Brad Johnson on a pedestal. They hold him much higher than that. From the barber to the short order cook to the mayor, Brad Johnson is the king of the mountain.
So he's the type of kid that you wouldn't mind your daughter bringing home, whether it's quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings or driving a John Deere out here in a tobacco patch.
Brad Johnson was a legend in the Smoky Mountains long before he was the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. He's been pulling off fourth-quarter comebacks for years.
And then we ran an option with Brad, and he just faked the fullback, but there was no option to it. Brad wasn't going to give that thing to fullback. He wasn't going to pitch it. So here he is, you know, 6'5", 6'6" of him. All he does is once he fakes it, he just turns up and he just lays that big old body, you know, across the line of scrimmage. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it right here. And to win 22-21, the place went ballistic.
Football is where Brad made a name for himself, but his first love was basketball.
I'm still not convinced he's a better football player than he is basketball, even though he's making great, and he's a great football player.
Coach Burrow says that if the three-point shot were around back then, Brad's team in Minnesota wouldn't be the Vikings, it'd be the Timberwolves.
I'll take Brad Johnson, and someone else can take anyone else in the NBA. I'll take Brad Johnson's shot and bet on him, and you can take anybody else in the NBA.
He only started 7 games in college, and it took him 5 years to start in the NFL. But when he got his chance, he made his mark. A touchdown pass to beat the Lions last year in the opener. You got to be awfully proud of that son.
I'm so excited, I can't stand it. It's unbelievable. Dream.
A proud father got the game ball, but Brad Johnson doesn't need to throw touchdown passes to be a star in the Johnson family.
He knows where he came from, appreciates that. He knows he can go any minute, and he works hard to get where he is. He doesn't want to give it up.
Everybody asks if he has a girlfriend, how old he is. They all want to know. They all want to know what he's doing.
Brad's parents and his sister travel to as many games as possible.
To see his name on the back of a jersey of a fan, I mean, he's just come from so far to go to see your son's name on the back of somebody's jersey and to know that they're looking up to him. It's just, the whole thing shifted. It really did.
It's heady stuff knowing that other kids now dream about being Brad Johnson. Here's a kid who used to sleep in a Larry Bird jersey during basketball season and a Redskins jacket during the football season.
And there was just something different inside Brad. I can't put my finger on it, but when other kids would want to practice or shoot basketball for 20 or 30 minutes like the coach told them, he'd always spend more time and do it longer, do it better, do it faster, and he'd always do it the right way the first time.
And that something special was what Brad talked about when he was the commencement speaker at his old high school this spring.
I worked hard, was patient, persistent, was always known and physically ready. My passion became a reality.
That passion has put Brad in position to lead his team to the Super Bowl. And if that happens in the NFL, he'll be the king of the mountain, too. By the way, Brad Johnson buys his old high school basketball team uniforms every year, plus he has a scholarship fund started in Black Mountain, too. Now, we've heard the Vikings talking about what it's going to be like to face Brett Favre. Now let's hear from some of the Packers about going up against Brad Johnson.
You know, he's one of those type of athletes where, you know, he's going to make plays back there for a quarterback. You know, he's about 6'3", 6'4", and can shift his body very well. And he gets away from a lot of pressure to make those type of plays.
The Packers are listed as 3-point favorites today, and I'm joined by a couple of my sports wrap buddies, Patrick Royce and Bob Sansevier. Patrick, first of all, the biggest game in Denny Green's career as a Viking head coach?
Well, I think you'd have to say the playoff games were bigger, and he went 0-4 in those. But regular season, yes, because this gives you a chance to get some home field in the postseason and to actually do some damage in the postseason. If they win tonight, they could win the division.
All right, Brad Johnson, is this a defining moment for Brad? He's got to win a big game here.
Well, I think it is, and the thing about Brad is we got to see how he reacts. That high ankle sprain kept Robert Smith out for 3 weeks. We got to see how Brad reacts to it. And I'll tell you what, if the Vikings win this game, the MVP of the game will be Scott Dill, because it will mean he did his job as a center, kept Gilbert Brown off of Brad, and Brad was able to do his job.
Patrick, you covered this rivalry for a long time. Is the rivalry at its peak right now?
I think it is, because the Packers are back up. You know, they've never been good simultaneously. The Vikings have a heck of a regular season record in the green era. Let me just say, looking around here tonight, Monday Night Football remains, after 26 or 7 years, the greatest marketing tool in the history of any professional league. It's amazing the atmosphere that it can create when you get 2 good ball clubs.
All right, gentlemen, we will look for your columns tomorrow on this big football game in the Star Tribune and the Pioneer Press. Up next, we'll take you back to Green Bay and find out what life is like ATT after the title when Sports Wrap continues.
Every day, new technologies are helping make each acre of land in the world more productive. For example, new technology has led to a more powerful superactive herbicide for season-long control of grasses and small-seeded broadleaves at a greatly reduced rate. Yet it's safe to corn seedlings no matter what the weather. That new technology is from Novartis. That new herbicide is stronger, longer, better, Dual 2 Magnum. It's powerful new chemistry.
My mother is a fashion zombie, no sense of style. I can't even go to the house the way she wants me. And I have a date. I'm never leaving my room again.
Need a smile? Call Domino's.
Gotta go, I'm having dinner with my mom.
A Domino's deep dish does the trick. An inch thick with cheese baked to the edges. And now with 3 toppings, $8.99. Any second, $4.99.
So good.
But we deliver more than great pizza.
So nice. Gotta go. I think we bonded.
At Domino's, we're delivering 1 million smiles a day.
Tell all the people across the USA, I love my Green Bay Packers, who won the first Super Bowls ever played. I love my Green Bay Packers.
There have been a lot of songs about the Green Bay Packers over the years, especially last January when the Packers went all the way to the Super Bowl. But has the tune changed a little bit in Titletown since they won the Super Bowl? Let's head out to Hudson, Wisconsin, where Mike Binkley's at a big party with Packer and Viking fans. Binks?
Joe, I want to show you, first of all, we have found an all-star party. Look, Mike Holmgren is in the house here with us. I want to tell you, I have already heard enough Packer polkas to last me a while. But a week ago, we went even deeper into Cheeseland at Green Bay to find out if things have changed.
Two-time MVP Brett Favre's here tonight with us.
In a bar outside Green Bay, fans pack in for a live TV sports show. Their voices in full throttle, even though they screamed themselves hoarse the day before.
It's Wisconsin, a couple beers. We're ready to go again.
Hey, Brett Favre's being here, that's about as good as it gets.
Life is about as good as it gets for the Packers, who enjoy a virtual love fest in this town.
I love you, Brett.
I love you, man.
The city of Green Bay.
The love has gone national. Green Bay has seen nearly twice as many fans making their way in this year to see the Packers shrines.
The pride of Wisconsin.
It is a Mecca. That's exactly what it is. It's awesome.
You just have to come here and have to have pictures. You have the camera, take pictures of yourself outside of Lambeau Field. I mean, it's Lambeau Field.
When they make touchdown, we shout hooray, hey, we all have so much fun to go Green Bay.
You now
see the Packer logo and Packer colors everywhere.
Packers going all the way, baby!
Cheese be with you, Packer fans around the world and in Minnesota.
Thank you.
As soon as you walk in, you just get this feeling that you know you're in the right place.
Of course, Packer fans say this enthusiasm is nothing new for them. They've been fans their whole lives, or in this one case, the afterlife, too.
Well, see, during the Super Bowl, Elroy had a heart attack and died because he was so happy we won. So his last request was, you just keep bringing me to the game, don't give up my season ticket. So here he is, this is Elroy, the diehard Packer fan.
It's been nearly a year since that night Coach Holmgren was carried off the field in New Orleans. Packer fans are now ready to book their flights to San Diego.
It ain't over till the fat lady sings, but she's pretty close.
Well, we've got a few Viking fans here tonight who hope to see Brad Johnson carrying that trophy off in San Diego. We are prepared for battle here, and it should be fun. Let's go back to you.
All right, Mike, if the Vikings are going to win this game tonight against the Packers, they're going to need a big night from their dynamic duo, Jake Reed and Chris Carter. They may be the best tandem in all of pro football as far as wide receivers. They've got 14 touchdowns and over 2,000 yards receiving so far this season. Jake Reed, of course, had a huge game receiving with a couple of great touchdown catches, including that one against the Jets. Carter had a big night in the fourth quarter against the Jets and had one of his biggest catches and runs to set up the Vikings' final touchdown. Carter and Reed are going to need to make things happen tonight. Now, the guys I feel the sorriest for are the guys who have to cover players like Jake Reed and Chris Carter. The defensive backs, these guys should get hazardous duty pay. It's tough sledding back there sometimes. And for more on that, let's go to Eric Gislason, who takes a look at that tough job. Eric?
Being a reporter up here in the cheap seats can be dangerous too, Joe, but in all seriousness, they liken playing cornerback in the NFL to being on an island, and by that they mean when good things happen, you're right there to bask in all of the glory all by your lonesome. Problem is when bad things happen, there's nowhere to hide either. Is there a tougher job? Let's start with the police officer. Certainly one of the toughest jobs there is. How about a firefighter? A doctor in surgery? No one could argue that these are amongst the world's toughest jobs. How about a cornerback in the National Football League?
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain.
If I make the wrong step here or there, you know, it's touchdown, and everybody sees that, so I'm definitely exposed.
Loses the ball. That's a perfect hit.
When that pass rush is there and you on your game, it's lovely. But when everything is not clicking, it will be a long day.
Corey Fuller happens to be one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. So we asked him what he thought about the toughest job in the world. His answer?
Man, they've had it cold.
All right, back on the job site.
Pouring concrete in the dead of a Minnesota winter.
If it paid equal, would you trade?
If I was a foreman, I didn't have to do no work.
Yeah.
It's the concrete truth. This third-year Vikes cornerback is a veteran in masonry. As a kid, he grew up in Florida with a trowel in his hand.
It's hard work, but hard work pays off. That's why I made it to the NFL.
When cornerbacking is good in the NFL, it's the best.
Interference on the defense.
But these days, it's getting harder and harder to play the position of cornerback.
I don't know. I think they're just happy to throw the flag. They just want to throw the flag, and they're throwing it on us.
It seems flags fly these days, no matter if the coverage is picture perfect or flawed. Talk about the toughest job in the world. How about the referee's call on pass interference?
The refs are human. They're going to miss some calls. They're going to make some great calls. They're going to make some bad calls. So you try not to get too tied up in it, but right at the moment you're going to say, what are you talking about?
How about being a big-name receiver and getting a call because of your name and fame?
So I really can't tell. You know, I think it pretty much comes down to the ref, what they want to call and how they see different situations out on the field.
How about vice versa?
I think as me and Corey continue to play and have some success out there on the field, we got to have some success that we'll get some leeway with those calls.
But until then, some days on this job site may be an easier one for a cornerback than on this one. But either way, there's a hard hat and a hard knock to work with.
You just know your enemy. And, he's normally coming at you full speed ahead. So try to be on your best line of defense and everything. That's how I look at it, being in a battle and being in war.
and Corey Fuller and the rest of the Viking secondary will have their hands full tonight. Brett Favre's quick release will keep them busy back there all night long.
Well, we're going to stick around here on the plaza. There's a lot going on in the dome, obviously, but stick with us. We'll have more Vikings programs when we come back.
This Viking Sports Wrap special is brought to you by Northwest Airlines. Some people just know how to fly. And by your local Northland Ford dealers.
There's a vehicle that's not exactly a minivan, not exactly a truck, and not exactly a car. But it's exactly what you need. The Northland Edition Ford Explorer. With the roominess and safety of a minivan, the power and four-wheel capabilities of a truck, and the comfort of a car. Then, to make Explorer exactly right for you, it's been customized for the Northland. Lease a Northland Edition Ford Explorer for only $299 a month for 24 months. We call it America's best-selling sport utility. You'll call it exactly right for you.
The people of Northwest Airlines have taken a few friends under their wings, like Habitat for Humanity, Toys for Tots, Memorial Blood Center, and Second Harvest Food Bank. Please join the 50,000 people of Northwest in helping our Air Care's charitable partners.
An important part of our mission is supporting the communities in which we live and work. Thank you for joining us in these efforts.
You think you'd like this Sprint PCS phone as a holiday gift?
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe it. It's so clear.
And how many nuts are in a bag?
2 scoops. About 20.
About a dozen nuts. About? Don't you ever know what you're going to get?
That'd be your lucky day, then.
Do you like predictable things?
No, I like an adventure.
So you like it when your phone bill goes up and down every month?
No, that I don't like.
Can I keep this phone?
With Sprint PCS, you'll always know what you're going to get. Predictable, anytime calling plans.
The phone is clear, but I'm on fire. Here's my idea. Help me find gifts for under $30.
Hey, Richard! How are ya?
Hello.
Clear the way, Best Buy Idea Box coming through.
Whoa.
Grab one of these.
I love
Vacuum.
Dustbusters.
Clean your car out.
Music.
Video games.
No, this is not.
That's under $30.
Wow.
A CD player.
Very cool.
Headphones. Computer software.
Perfect. Ooh.
Richard, sit down. Those are under $30. Can you believe that?
Gifts under $30 at Best Buy. Now that's a great idea.
Away from the kickoff of tonight's game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are just about ready to take the field. The officials are on the field. You'll hear it when the Packers come on the field. Right now, head coach, there's the Minnesota Vikings coming down the tunnel, getting ready to come out for their introductions. And on the other side of the field, Mike Holmgren is coming out here for the Green Bay Packers. He always leads his team out. There's Denny Green walking down with the Vikings as they go down the tunnel. And when they come out here, this place is going to erupt. Let's go back up to Eric Kisselson for one of his last thoughts on the game tonight. Eric?
Well, Joe, rather than talk about X's and O's, how about this? How about in a day and age of stadium issues and big buck contracts and professional athletes breaking the law, all that is shoved aside for one night. That's what makes this matchup so truly remarkable. This game, this night, this stage, the Packers and the Vikings represents all that is right with pro sports in the 90s.
Joe? All right, take a look. The Green Bay Packers are taking the field. And you can hear a chorus of boos along with some cheers. I guess I would say it's about a 60-40 split. 60% Packer fans, 40%, or I should say 60% Viking fans, 40% Packer fans, and they're deep in the bowels of the Metrodome. Brad Johnson in a last moment of concentration before he takes the field. Let's go back outside the field and see if anybody's left from the pregame party with Callie and Randy.
Well,
Callie, Randy?
Joe, the party's basically over out here. We have a few stragglers who are still looking for tickets and waiting to get in, and a big mess to clean up, but otherwise everybody's inside.
Can only assume, Joe, that they don't have tickets or they'd be inside, or they're more interested in being on TV than anything else. All that enthusiasm we've experienced over the last hour now contained inside the dome for the big game in just a couple minutes. Joe, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Callie and Randy. Of course, we've got our party in Hudson. Let's go check out how Mike Binkley's doing in Hudson. Mike? Okay, Okay, I guess we are out of time as the teams are now
in front of the TV set, and we are evenly split here.
Joining us here tonight, and we will see you back after the game for Eyewitness News with all the post-game reactions. That's a wrap from the Dome.
It's a beautiful day here at Disneyland, where Joe Montana's ready to lead his Mervyn's team in some real action. Here's Joe going deep into It's a Small World holiday. Now he's rolling back in the teacups. And now Joe's dropping into the pocket on Splash Mountain. And here's Joe running a crisscross pattern. It's one for the record books.
You could win one of 50 family vacations for 4 to Disneyland with Joe Montana. Just go to Mervyn's, California for the whole game plan.
How's your reception?
A reception? Picture perfect.
So, what's the deal?
Get hooked up to cable TV. It's easy. One call, one company, one bill. Get you great programming.
What about local programming?
Some get it, some don't.
This thing doesn't work.
No Twin Cities channel?
No.
No local news, weather, sports?
Nothing.
It's either these or get cable TV.
Get cable now while installation's only $14.95. To order, just call.
Cable TV.
Dave Dahl on Eyewitness News. Accurate and straight to the point.
I found his weather forecast seemed pretty accurate.
With the experience to get you through the big blizzard or tomorrow morning's forecast.
Well, he's experienced. He's been around for a while.
Dave Dahl. He's from the Twin Cities.
I think if you've grown up with it, I think you'd probably do a better job.
And he keeps your family safe.
He was at work in the middle of the night making sure that we knew what was going on.
Dave Dahl, Minnesota's weather expert. Only on Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
See how these deer were rescued after the game.
The youngest champion. That is incredible. This is ABC Sports.
It's prime time in Minnesota, and the Twin Cities are ready for Monday Night Football. The Green Bay Packers are still the champions. Remember last January?
Back goes Brett to throw. Here they come. He's got time. He's throwing it downfield.
He's got him.
Wide open. It is going to be a touchdown to Andre Rison. Rison takes it across the goal line.
Brett Favre and the Packers had won the Super Bowl. This season, the defense of that title has run hot and cold. Green Bay started to play like champions midway into the season, winning 5 in a row. But 2 weeks ago, they came crashing back to earth with an embarrassing loss to a team that hadn't won a game all year. Yet last week against the Cowboys, glorious redemption.
Back goes Brett to throw. Pumps once. Pumps looks.
Got him.
And in the end zone. Chavera for the touchdown.
The victory was a champion's response to the nightmare game with the Colts.
We got to play Dallas following that game, and you know how quickly you forget what happened in Indianapolis when you beat Dallas, and all of a sudden you feel like you're back on top again, and now you're rolling.
Brett Favre rolls into Minneapolis for a fierce rivalry game, the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Come on, big dog!
Oh, oh.
We got the noise. Bring on the game.
Like a freight train moving at the speed of light, like a knockout punch in a title fight. It's a black and blue battle to our liking when the Packers invade the home of the Vikings. You better be ready. You better get right. They're gonna knock the roof off the dome tonight. Hit it. Come on and hit it. Come on and get ready. Are you ready for the football?